Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose, and it's the big day. Switch 2 pre-orders went live, and I hope most of you got what you wanted. I hope you all had some good luck in your Switch 2 hunt, but, like I've been telling you all, just kind of expect the worst. It's been pure chaos, to put it frank. There's no doubt in my mind that this is going to be a record-breaking launch, let me tell you that much right now. But per usual, these websites were and are never prepared for the incoming traffic for these console launches, and it's just been a frustrating experience for a lot of consumers out there, especially for those that weren't able to get past all of the different errors. And I mean, there were a lot, to put it short. It really just felt like it was kind of the luck of the draw, especially at places like Best Buy. I don't know what their problem was last night. They showed up late, and even when they did show up, it was just a never-ending waiting line that just didn't do anything at all for what seemed like for most people. And this is all just more reason why I still believe the best way to pre-order these anticipated console launches is to just be old school and go out to your local GameStop and to sit in line for at least a few hours before release. I was actually able to do that this morning. They only had 33 units at my local GameStop. That's a lot lower than some of the rumors that led up to this pre-order period. But I think it was actually 25th in line. That was with me showing up about an hour early, and I'd say about 60 people ended up showing up, if not more than that, by the time they opened their door. So, I mean, I got a little close here, partially because I showed up a little later than what I initially planned, but it all worked out in the end, and now hopefully I'll be able to give you all some good coverage in the coming months for the Switch 2. Let me hear your experience in the comments below, though. Did you get what you wanted? And how do you feel about how the day one pre-order period was handled? Now, obviously, we do have plenty of other stuff to talk about, though. I just kind of want to talk about the pre-order period just real quick. That in itself is big news. But one thing that we are going to talk about today is how Nintendo may have created a bit of a problem. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But first, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and I truly do appreciate each and every one of you. Let's go and get right into things, though, starting off with a small reminder that Expedition 33 released today. Now, I don't typically do this for launches, but I just feel like this game couldn't have launched at a worse possible time than it did. And I can't really fault the studio when it comes to this specific decision. I mean, if you look at something like Sonic Superstars, Sega chose to launch that game the same week as Mario Wonder. It wasn't like that was some kind of big surprise. They chose that date fully knowing that situation, and yeah, they now regret it. No shocker there. But whereas Expedition 33, on the other hand, I think this is more on the side of simple bad luck. I mean, here they are, and they have the best rated game all year. It has a 92 overall score on Metacritic. It's being described as one of the greatest JRPGs or, JRPG-styled games of all time. But in this very weird, bizarre way, we're not seeing a ton of conversation about it today, because there's a couple of other big things happening. Nintendo, they delayed the Switch 2 pre-order period to the same day that Expedition 33 is launching. That's the big conversation today. And then just 2 days ago, Xbox and Bethesda, and this is a very weird situation because, Xbox is their partner. They shadow dropped Oblivion Remastered, which is shaping up to be one of the biggest launches for 2025. So I just think it's a bit of bad luck for Expedition 33 and that studio, and really it's just a shame. So I'm just going to use this first topic as a quick reminder that Expedition 33 is out today, and this very well could actually end up being the game of the year. Now, another announcement that's getting a bit overshadowed today is for FBC Firebreak. This is Remedy's new multiplayer game. Admittedly, I truthfully wasn't expecting much for this game when they first revealed it. Remedy isn't exactly known for multiplayer games, but now that I've seen it, I'm cautiously optimistic for it. Its gameplay reminds me a lot of Left 4 Dead, and I think it looks fun. If anything else, it is a day one Xbox Game Pass and a PlayStation Plus release. So, I mean, you always got to love that. And it's now set for a June 17th launch. So I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced of this game just yet. I'm going to need to see some reviews or play it myself, but I think it has some potential at the very least, and it's definitely on my radar now, and maybe it can be on yours as well. Now, if you're a fan of Pokemon TCG Pocket, as I am, it sounds like the game is going to get a complete overhaul come April 30th when its new set releases. This is a Sun and Moon themed pack with a lot of Alolan Pokemon, such as Solgaleo, Alolan Marowak, which is actually one of my personal favorites. There's also Alolan Ninetales, and even Alolan Raichu. Now, I'm not going to show footage just because the Pokemon Company can kind of be weird with new trailers, but the big change here comes from Rare Candy, which will give a big and really just a much-needed boost for Stage 2 Pokemon. It basically allows you to skip a stage and go right into your final evolution if you have both the Stage 2 and the Rare Candy in your hand, while also having your first evolution active on the bench or in your active spot for at least one turn. So this is going to completely change the game. It's going to add a lot more consistency and a lot more speed to Stage 2 Pokemon lines. And hopefully, this will tone down some of the basic decks that's currently plaguing the higher tiers. I know for me, I'm sick and tired of seeing Darkrai and Giratina decks over and over and over and over again. I climbed to Masters about 2 weeks ago, and then I begrudgingly stopped. I mean, I could have probably climbed higher, but it's just annoying to see the same boring, brain-dead decks over and over again in the higher ranks. I prefer some amount of creativity, and I hope this adds more variety to the higher tier decks than what we've seen this past season. Okay, now let's go and get to the big story of the day, and unfortunately, it seems like Nintendo has created a bit of a problem. I mean, of course, they have the whole $80 game thing, and that's a situation in itself, but that's not what we're talking about here today. This instead is about the game key cards. Now, I'll be honest, I don't completely hate these game key cards as much as some other people do, but at the same time, I don't necessarily like them either. I mean, the one perk that comes along with key cards is that they do have resale value, whereas digital games don't. They're also more easily shareable, so there is that as well. So, I mean, key cards aren't completely useless like, some people make them out to be, but they're also not ideal either. For me, I do prefer physical media. I've said this 100 times on the channel, and I do prefer also to have at least the day one content available on disc, or in this case, on the cartridge. I don't like the idea that in the future, we have to rely on these companies and their servers to play the games that we've already purchased. That Ubisoft mindset of we're not going to own anything and we're going to like it. I don't like it, and that's not going to change. So, it's annoying that we're seeing a lot of these game key cards for the Switch 2, or at least at launch, and we're kind of now at the point where almost half of the Switch 2 physical library are actually key cards. Apparently 46% are key cards, and the reason for that, or what it seems to be, is that it's simply cheaper for these third-party companies to do. For now, the 32GB and 64GB cartridge options that the Switch 2 utilizes are more expensive. So these third-party companies, they see that, and they're just kind of cheaping out with the more affordable key card option. That's essentially what this seems to boil down to. And I think now the only question that remains is whether or not that will be a persistent problem as the generation progresses. I mean, maybe this is just a launch issue. Maybe these third-party companies didn't have the time to put together an actual cartridge. I still think a lot of this probably comes down to price, but, there is always that chance that it will become more affordable over time with maybe more options. But if it doesn't, again, the question is are these third-party companies going to continue to do this more often than not? Now, I think some of that comes down to just how well these key cards actually sell, because, I mean, if these companies are rewarded handsomely, which there is a good chance, this is a launch and, people don't have a lot to choose from, but yeah, if they get rewarded, then they're probably going to do this scummy business thing and just move forward with key cards as the main option. So Nintendo may have actually created a bit of a problem here, or at least when it comes to a consumer's point of view. They gave these third-party companies key cards as a more affordable option, and yeah, we're already seeing it. They're taking full advantage of that. Let me know what you think about all this, though. Do you see game cards as problematic or not? I mean, in some ways, you could say that this could just be yet another stepping stone for the all-digital future, which seems to be rapidly increasing by the year. And for that matter, digital is already the go-to option for both Xbox and PlayStation, so maybe Nintendo is next. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode, but until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.